today's class, inshallah. I started recording. I didn't notice that the recording was started. But anyhow, today's class, inshallah, will be resume the Quran class. And I think the book is here. We were in verse, I believe, number 26 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Let's go back to it. Yes. The verse that says, surely God does not shy away from using the parable of a mosquito or what is even smaller. As for the believers, they know that it is the truth from their Lord. And as for the disbelievers, they argue. They argue, quote, they say, what does God mean or intend by such a parable? Through it, he leaves many astray and guides many, and he leaves none to go astray except the rebellious, al-fasiqeen. So we're still in this verse. Last time I mentioned that this verse is in response to the disbelievers' criticism of the Quran with regards to setting parables to explain concepts, belief concepts. Just like the two parables mentioned prior in Surah, in the same chapter, and just in the page prior to that, which we have discussed before, they said that this style could not be from God. But as we know, we discussed this last time, that God uses parables and has used parables in all previous revelations. It is very common within the sayings of Jesus, the use of parables. It's very common in the Torah and in the previous revelations of all the prophets to use parables to bring meanings and concepts closer to people's minds. And that's actually something out of the mercy of Allah and the good teaching of Allah, something that should not be criticized. But then also they criticized some other parables because they included the mention of some creatures they felt were insignificant, such as the parable that talks about the fly. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ لَن يَخْلُقُوا ذُبَابًا, in which Allah says, those whom you worship aside from Allah, they will never be able to create even a fly. وَإِن يَسْلُبْهُمُ الذُّبَابُ شَيْئًا لَا يَسْتَنقِذُوهُ مِنْهُ, and if a fly snatches away anything from them, they will not be able to retrieve it from the fly. ضَعُفَ الطَّالِبُ وَالْمَطْلُوبُ, both the seeker and the sought, meaning the fly and the human being, are both equally weak. ضَعُفَ الطَّالِبُ وَالْمَطْلُوبُ. And also the parable of the ankabut, the spider. مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون. Meaning that the example of those who have taken deities and gods and lords aside from Allah is like the spider. The spider that has built its house, meaning the web. وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون. And indeed, the weakest of the houses is the house of the spider, only if they knew. And we mentioned some of the miraculous references in such verses. If you recall, and I'll just summarize really quick because there's still to be so much to be said about these verses, such as the verse of the spider, the verse of the fly, which indicates that humanity, regardless of how much it advances in technology and science, they will never be able to create even a single fly. They've been able to create a rocket, AI and all this other stuff that is very advanced, but they have not been able to create life, and not even a fly. So that is this is a challenge, an eternal challenge, showing that this book is from Allah. Because the moment, if humanity was able to create a fly at any point in life, and actually they've tried, some Russian scientists in the past century, they did put so much money and effort and science in trying to create life, and they could not even a single cell. So if humanity was able to create a fly at any point, then it would invalidate the Quran. It would invalidate that this would be the word of Allah. Also, the fact that the fly has the feature of doing external digestion, that it actually secretes its digestive enzymes on the food particle, for instance, while it's still outside. So it liquidates it and then sucks it in, which means that no matter how much you seek the fly or catch the fly or dissect the fly, you will never be able to retrieve what it has taken from you. You follow? Also, let's talk a little bit about the example of the spider. The spider. كَمَثَلِ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ اتَّخَذَتْ بَيْتًا. The word spider in Arabic is a masculine word. It's not a feminine word. And again, we see the verb that comes after the spider is not اتَّخَذَ بَيْتًا, but اتَّخَذَتْ. This اتَّخَذَتْ, this ta indicates that Allah is referring to a female. Despite the word itself being a masculine. And that, of course, led to some confusion to people in the past. They said even some people started saying that there is a grammatical error in this verse, because كَمَثَلِ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ, we would have expected اتَّخَذَ بَيْتًا. Okay? But Allah deliberately said اتَّخَذَتْ. And we only came to know in the past few years that it is only the female spider that actually builds the house. It's only the female. Male spiders never build the web. They don't have that ability at all. كَمَثِلِ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ اتَّخَذَتْ بَيْتًا. And then Allah also mentions that the house of the spider is the most feeble and weak and vulnerable of all houses. And that is true, because it does not protect for many reasons. Number one, it does not protect from any heat or cold. It's exposed. It's not like a house that has walls and a roof to it. It does not protect from the wind. It does not protect from any environmental factors. And it's also exposed to predators. It's just in the open air. The spiders really cannot hide in it from other predators. And then this is the physical weakness. But people who studied the behavior of spiders have come to know that there's also another kind of weakness within the house of the spider, which is the total disconnection between the members of the family of the spider. Actually, they're not only disconnected, but they're enemies to each other. And here the verse is talking about the relationship between somebody who associates partners with Allah, or takes and sets rivals to Allah. Rather than attaching to Allah and calling on Allah and worshipping Allah, he chooses a false deity, a false God, a false Lord. So, of course, Allah is showing us that this will only be to the detriment and harm of that person. That false deity will not be able to benefit that human being. يَدْعُو مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, in another verse, مَا لَا يَنْفَعُهُ وَمَا لَا يَضُرُّ. They are calling, aside from Allah, deities that cannot harm them or benefit them. And then the following verse says, يَدْعُو لَمَنْ ضَرُّهُ أَقْرَبُ مِن نَفْعِهِ. And he says they are actually calling on deities that are more likely to harm them than to benefit them. And that's another thing that was found about the house of the spider. The female spider builds the web. And then when the mating season comes, the male, the moment he completes mating with the female actually immediately kills the male and eats him. So that's fixed behavior throughout all the species of spiders. That immediately. And he can't escape because the female is stronger and faster. They did find one species of spiders who manages to escape to some extent by immediately, immediately as he finishes mating with the female, he jumps in the air to run away from her. And they say that this spider is like 3 millimeters in length, and it jumps at a speed of 88 centimeters per second. He says if you want to compare it to a human being whose height is 1.8 meters, if you transfer this image to a human being who's 1.8 meters, then this human being would have to jump at a speed that is greater than 500 meters per second. Half a kilometer per second. Yani, he's running for his life. Yani. And then, not only that, I just learned not only the female will eat the male, the female then produces the, they call them spiderlings. The little spiders, and she starts feeding them. The moment they get stronger, they eat the female, the mother. That's something called matrophagy. Matri means mother, phagy means eating the mother. And the first behavior is called sexual cannibalism. What kind of house is this? Subhanallah. Now, these facts are only discovered recently. So when Allah talks about this, the Quran is very accurate in showing that it is a female, although despite the fact that it's worded in such a way that people might start criticizing the Quran for shifting from a masculine immediately to a feminine verb. You follow? But it had the wisdom behind it. And it's only the female that builds the house. And yes, indeed, the house of the spider is the weakest of houses. And we did talk about النحل. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ. Again, a feminine, masculine word, النحل. It should be وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي. But it should be أَنِ اتَّخِذ if it was a masculine verb. But again, a shift from masculine to feminine for the same reason, because only the female bees build their houses. أن اتخذي من الجبال بيوتا ومن الشجر مما يعرشون ثم كلي من كل الثمرات. They are the ones who actually collect the nectar and the pollens. من كل الثمرات فاسلكي سبل ربك ذللا. And they are the ones who head back to the hives, beehives. فاسلكي سبل يخرج من بطونها from again from its bellies, the bellies of the female. Again, all these beneficial, the honey, the wax, and also what do you call it, the royal jelly. All this is from the female. And then I wanted to know, because spider stings, some people use that for medicine too, spider stings. So I wanted to know, okay, maybe this one is an exception. Maybe males and females can sting. And I learned that only the females only sting. Only the females have stingers. So the beneficial substances and secretions that come out of the bee, they all come out from the female. يخرج من بطون مش بطونه بطونها, from the female bees. شراب مختلف ألوانه فيه شفاء للناس. And finally, I mentioned the example of the naml, that the naml قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم. And he referred to a female ant calling on the rest of the ant colony to hide quickly in their houses. What do you call the house of the ant? Colony, the colony, right? No, the ant is called ant colony, right? Mm-hmm. They go into the ant colony so as not to be crushed. لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده. Now, so it shows that it is actually the female ant that has the leadership position in the ant colony. And that's also not expected, because it is well known in human societies that it's always, especially in the past, it's always been the male who would be the one to be the leader in the tribe, in the nation. It's never heard of in these communities, especially the Arab communities, for the female to be the leader. And also the builder of the house, the ankabut, was also the female. And the worker and the builder of the hives was also female. And this is all contrary to what would have been expected in the minds of Arabs and most societies at that time, because most societies were ruled and organized and managed by males, right? All the leadership positions and the hard work was by males. So it is actually the verses mentioning that all these functions and duties are on the females is actually also counterintuitive to the Arabic mind, because that's not what would have been expected. If it was a human being writing this, he would have used the male or the masculine verb for all of these. You follow? Okay, inshallah, we have more to say about this verse, because I wanted to talk about the ending of the verse. وَمَا يُضُلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَمَا يُضُلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. The term fasiqeen in the Quran, there's 37 verses in the Quran that use the word fasiqeen. And it's important to go through some of those verses, or most of them, to know the description of the fasiqeen, the meaning, the rebellious, the people who have deviated away from Allah's way. That's the meaning of fasiqeen. But we need to talk in more detail. That's why I brought the laptop, inshallah, but we'll leave it till next time. Inshallah.